Welcome to Amish Lifestyle and Practices for Dr. Homan's 2023 summer class. Today, we will cover the Ordung, Amish clothing, electricity, transportation, language, and the act of shunning. The Ordung. What is it and what makes it so important? On this slide, I'm going to cover what it is, the role it takes in Amish society, and what is generally included in it. The Ordung comes from the German word for order. The Amish use the Ordung as a set of rules and regulations that govern their day-to-day lives. The Ordung is written in some parts and some parts are implied, using other people as a guide to how to behave. The Ordung, as time changes, can also adapt and change as well. In different communities, Ordungs can be different. In some conservative communities, Ordungs will prohibit electricity, certain colors of dress, certain behaviors, while in more progressive sects, they may allow the use of batteries, air pumps, etc. The decisions regarding Ordungs are made by church leadership. The Ordung, in comparison to our society, would be unspoken rules, certain etiquettes that we don't do in public, or are expected not to do in public. So the Ordung covers how to act, how to dress, what you can use in terms of electricity and technology. Amish dress. Reason behind their modest dress. On the slide, we have a picture of 3 different types of caps, or bonnets. Women of all ages can be seen wearing bonnets called caps, and the color of the cap can indicate a woman's marital status. White for married women and black for unmarried women. The reason behind these caps are because in the Bible, women are instructed to keep their hair covered, especially in prayer. Cap styles, as you can see on the presentation, also vary from group to group and can serve as a distinct difference to different Amish communities. Byler Amish women wear brown bonnets. Schwarzentreuber Amish women wear scarves over their coverings and under their bonnets. As the weather gets cold, women will often wear capes to stay warm. Jackets, like pants, are seen as a masculine piece of clothing, and women forego jackets in order to prevent the presentation of masculinity. Contrary to popular belief, the Amish don't just wear black and white like pilgrims. Purples, blues, greens, browns, and grays are all acceptable colors for clothing, as long as they are muted and unassuming, though patterns are less seen in many groups. In some progressive groups, young girls are allowed to dress in pastel dresses. Men are held to the same standard of modesty as their female counterparts, though it is less visible. Trousers are closed with hook eye closures, as plain buttons are hard to come to, and zippers are strictly prohibited. Men are often seen growing beards, but not mustaches. Mustaches in military fashion have often been correlated together, and because of the Amish pacifistic lifestyle, they forego mustaches when growing their beards. Amish men's clothes are made by his mother if unmarried, or by his wife when he does get married. Reno Amish men from Milton County, Pennsylvania, only wear one suspender instead of the 2 that most men wear in different sects. So men's fashion also depends from group to group, such as shoe size, heel, and color. This takes us into electricity and the idea to prohibit it, accept it, or adapt it. Some sects, like the Luddites and the Swarzentroopers, whose technology hasn't advanced since 1913, prohibit all electricity. They believe none is better than any at all, and believe that it could lead down to sin. But some communities do allow the use of propane gas, air pumps, and batteries. In the book, The Amish, there is an excerpt from one of the chapters where it talks about an old order Mennonite who was able to modify a computer to have what he considered the bare necessities, which included spreadsheet software and word processing capabilities. In the exception, some Amish communities, the more progressive ones, allow for the use of propane tanks to power things such as stoves and refrigerators, air pumps, which help retrieve well water, and batteries that help some farmers store milk and milk cows until the milk is ready to be sold. Amish transportation. Why they like it like that. Like their dress, Amish are also easily distinguishable by their mode of transportation, horse-drawn buggies. Horses embody the tradition, limitation, nature, and sacrifice of the Amish. Horses are only expected to travel at 6 to 8 miles per hour, and because of this, the speed or lack thereof many Amish buggies will have the slow-moving vehicle symbol of an orange triangle, according to transportationohio.gov. Though, some communities have changed the bright orange to a black and white, so it draws less attention after negotiating with their local law enforcement. Some Amish communities have a variety of buggies and carriages, family carriages, that have turn signals and hydraulic brakes, compared to what we think of as a mom van for soccer. Market wagons that have removable seats for the transportation of goods, and open tops that are primarily used by unmarried Amish boys and girls. As the name suggests, there is no top on the top of these carriages, according to AmishVillage.com. Amish buggies, like clothes, can also be representative of different affiliations, things like window size, door design, and colors can establish a sect from another. Different available colors to Amish communities are white, black, brown, and shades of gray. Some affiliations allow for decorations, such as stickers and CD players and lights. But just because the Amish can't own cars doesn't mean that they don't ride in them. Over the years, Amish taxis have popped up. Non-Amish individuals are allowed to drive the Amish, who are not allowed to operate the machines themselves. On the slide, to the left, is a Nebraska white topper, named for the white top on top of their carriage. It also displays the slow-moving vehicle orange design. In the center is a picture of a Lancaster, Pennsylvania affiliation-driven Lancaster-style gray buggy. Unpictured is a Swiss carriage that have something called kid boxes in order to shelter the children from the rain. As you can see, these buggies appear to have no glass at all and very minimal coverage from weather such as rain, wind, and snow. Swarzentrooper and Nebraska tribes carry kerosene lanterns instead of electric lights. Some sects approve of normal electric lighting, while others don't. The Swarzentroopers are some of the most conservative groups of Amish people. Some of the more progressive groups might have GPS, hydraulic brakes, and windshield wipers on their carriages. Amish language. It's not just English. If you've ever heard the Amish talk amongst themselves, you may have noticed it doesn't sound like English. That's because the Amish actually speak three languages: Pennsylvanian Dutch, English, and German. Pennsylvanian Dutch is a dialect of German, even though Dutch is used in the name. It is suspected that there were Dutch settlers around the time the Amish got there, and the Amish spoke German. This is the language of family, friendship, play, and intimacy according to the textbook, The Amish. English is spoken primarily for outsiders, for people like you and me, for business purposes. And English competency depends on the person's job and training. If a person was to communicate to someone like you and me because they work at a furniture store or a bakery, they are more likely to be more competent in their English just because of the use that they have for it. English is also used as an overall way to speak to different Amish groups. Standard German is used for spiritual purposes and often in hymns and scriptures taught at church on Sundays. Students are primarily taught German for the purpose of reading religious texts, though many Amish elderly complain that the fluency of it has started to dwindle in the younger populations. Amish shunning. What is it? Well, according to the Oxford Dictionary, shunning is the act of persistently avoiding, ignoring, or rejecting someone or something through antipathy or caution. Shunning is the punishment for the Amish, and like most of their life's decisions, the church determines the length of time in which a person is shunned. Some Amish members may even compare it to the New Testament's version of stoning. The act of shunning and being shunned involves being put out of the church. Being shunned makes the person considered unclean. A shunned person is prohibited from eating at the same table as not shunned members. For example, if you were shunned from your family by the church, that means your family is to not talk to you. They may feed you, but you may not give them anything in return. You are not expected to eat at the same table, and if someone is eating with you when you are shunned, could get in trouble themselves. Shunning makes one considered unclean, and therefore others are not allowed to accept an item, like I explained in the example. Shunning is an isolation practice from the community, and help is only given to the shunned individual if in dire need, such as lack of food, or a fire, or a medical emergency. Then an exception can be made. According to the documentary American Experience, Amish Shunned on YouTube. Things that you could be shunned for could be premarital kissing, anything premarital that the church may look down at, frown upon. Shunning has been used in cases such as child abuse, sexual abuse. A shunning time is, like I said before, determined by the church. Women have the ability to cut their hair instead of being assigned a shunning time. Amish women often have very long hair and are expected to cut it if they're choosing not to go by the church's time for shunning. She will cut her hair, and until her hair grows back to the length it previously was, she is still considered shunned. Leaving the Amish community after Rumspringa can be reason for shunning. Anywhere from 4 weeks to 4 months has been heard of. To recap, today we covered what the Ordung was and the purpose it serves in Amish society. Then we covered the reason behind the Amish modest dress code and the difference between different affiliations that they may have. Then we moved on to the role of electricity that plays in Amish society, the battle between tradition, you don't accept it, exception where you totally embrace it, or you adapt modern technologies to fit your standards. We next covered transportation, types that are available to the Amish, different types of carriages, and differences between different groups. Then we covered the languages used by the Amish, the purpose and distinguishing Pennsylvanian Dutch, English, and Standard German. And finally, we covered what is shunning, the punishment, how long it may last, things that may be cause for shunning. I hope this presentation has helped to widen your knowledge of Amish practices and lifestyle.